Hanok, Watchers, Chapter 1. The words of the Barakah of Hanok, with which he barak the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and unrighteous are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Hanok, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by Elohim, saw the vision of the Chodesh one in the Shamayim, which the messengers showed me. And from them I heard all matters, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a distant one which is to come. Concerning the elect I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the Kodesh Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal Elohim will tread upon the earth on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the Shamayim of Shamayim. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be completely torn in pieces, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and compassion shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to Elohim, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be Baruch, and he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And see, he comes with 10,000 of his Kodeshim to execute judgment upon them all, and to destroy all the wicked, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their wickedness, which they have committed wickedly, and of all the harsh matters which wicked sinners have spoken against him. Observe all matters that take place in the Shamayim, how they do not change their orbits, and the lights which are in the Shamayim, how they all rise and put in order each in its season, and do not transgress against their appointed order. See the earth, and give heed to that which takes place upon it, from first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of that on earth changes, but all the works of Elohim appear to you. See the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. Observe and see how all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new comes. And again, observe the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth over against it, and you seek shade and shelter because the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat, and so you cannot tread upon the earth or on a rock because of its heat. Observe how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruit. Therefore give heed and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that lives forever has made them so. And all his works go on from year to year forever, and all the tasks which they accomplish for him, and their tasks do not change, but according to how Elohim has ordained, so it is done. And see how the sea and the rivers in the same way accomplish, and do not change their tasks from his commandments. But you have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of Yahuwah, but you have turned away and spoken proud and harsh words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O you hard-hearted, you shall find no peace. Therefore you shall loathe your days, and the years of your life shall perish. And the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal loathing, and you shall find no compassion. In those days you shall make your names an eternal loathing unto all the righteous, and by you all who curse shall curse, and all the sinners and wicked shall loathe by you. And for you, the wicked, there shall be a curse. And all shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and every compassion and peace and patience. There shall be salvation unto them, a pleasant light. And for all of you sinners, there shall be no salvation, but on you all a curse shall abide. But for the elect there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And then there shall be given wisdom to the elect, and they shall all live and never again sin, either through wickedness or through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble, and they shall not transgress again, nor shall they sin all the days of their high, nor shall they die of anger or wrath, but they shall complete the number of their days of their high, and their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied, in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. And it came to be, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them good-looking and lovely daughters. And the messengers, the children of the Shamayim, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and bring forth children. And Shemiatzah, who was their leader, said to them, I fear you will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual curses, not to abandon this plan, but to do this matter. Then they all swore together, and bound themselves by mutual curses upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Yered on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had swore and bound themselves by mutual curses upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Shemalatzatz, their leader, Arakabela, Ramiel, Kokabel, Tamil, Ramilel, Daniel, Yechezechel, Bariachel, Yachzal, Aromos, Batarel, Ananael, Tizekiel, Shemiashapiel, Satariel, Tesuriel, Yamariel, Sarariel. These are the chiefs of tens. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose one for himself, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them to know plants, and they became pregnant. And they brought forth great giants, and the great giants brought forth Nephilim, and the Nephilim brought forth Eliud, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the adorning of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloured tinctures. And there arose much wickedness, and they committed whoring, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Shemiatzah taught enchantments and root cuttings, Aromas the resolving of enchantments, Bariakiel, astrology, Kokabel, the constellations, Yehezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Ariekiel, the signs of the earth, Shamiaziel, the signs of the sun, and Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to the Shamayim. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from the Shamayim and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitants cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of the Shamayim. And now to you, the Kodeshim of the Shamayim, the beings of men, make their petition, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to Yahuwah of ages, Adon of masters, Elohim of mighty ones, sovereign of sovereigns, and Elohim of the ages, the throne of your esteem is unto all the generations of the ages, and your name, Kodesh, and magnificent, and Baruch unto all the ages. You have made all, and you have power over all, and all are naked and open in your sight. And you see all matters, and none can hide himself from you. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on earth, which has revealed the eternal secrets which were in the Shamayim, which men were striving to learn. And Shemiyatzah, to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and by this the whole earth has been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now see, the beings of those who have died are crying and making their petitions at the gates of the Shamayim, and their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And you know all matters before they come to pass, and you see and you allow them, and you do not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Then said the Most High, the Kodesh, and the Great One spoke, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, go to Noah, and tell him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a flood is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again, Yahuwah said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in the Judea, and cast him in there, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth with the messengers have corrupted, and heal the earth which the messengers have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all of the secrets that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And Yahuwah said to Gabriel, proceed against the half-breeds and the reprobates, and against the children of whoring, and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle, for they shall not have length of days. And no request that they make of you shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf, for they expect to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. And Yahuwah said to Michael, go bind Shemiyatzah and his associates, who have united themselves with women, to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their complete end, till the judgment that is forever and ever is ended. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and in the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And whoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thereon be bound together with them to the end of all generations. And whoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thereon be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wicked from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a barakah. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forever, and then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they bring forth thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age they shall complete in peace. And then the whole earth shall be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of barakah, and all desirable times shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant upon it shall yield wine in abundance. And so as for the seed which is sown upon each measure shall bear 1,000, and each measure of olives shall yield 10 presses of oil. And you cleanse the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all wickedness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth. Destroy from all the earth, and all the children of men shall become righteous. And all nations shall offer adoration, and shall praise me, and all shall worship me. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again send upon it from generation to generation and forever. And in those days I will open the stone chambers of barakah which are in the Shemayim, so as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labour of the children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. Before these matters Hanok was hidden, and none of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the Kodeshim. And I, Hanok, Barak Yahuwah of majesty, and the sovereign of the ages, and see, the watchers called me, Hanok the scribe, and said to me, Hanok, you scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the Shemayim who have left the high Shemayim, the Kodesh eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of the earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. You have wrought great destruction on the earth, and you shall have no peace, nor forgiveness of sin, and inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity, but compassion and peace shall you not attain. And Hanok went and said, Azazel, you shall have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against you. to put you in bonds, and you shall not have toleration nor request granted to you, because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of wickedness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they pleaded with me to draw up a petition for them that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of Yahuwah of the Shamayim. For from thereon they could not speak nor lift up their eyes to the Shamayim for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition, and in the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their requests that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the southwest of Hermon. I read their petition till I fell asleep. And see, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of rebuke, and a voice came bidding to tell it to the sons of the Shamayim, and reprimand them. And when I awoke, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abelet Sail, which is between Lebanon and Senisar, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness, and to reprimand the watchers of the Shamayim. The book of the words of righteousness, and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Kodesh Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with a tongue of flesh and with the great breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse with and understand with heart. As he has created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so has he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of the Shamayim. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you, even so will not be granted unto you. And from here on you shall not ascend into the Shamayim unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus. See, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me. And the course of the stars and the lightning's speed and hastened me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and carried me into the Shamayim. And I went in till I drew near to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to terrorize me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew near to a large house which was built of crystals. And the walls of the house were like a mosaic floor of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their Shamayim was as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling took hold of me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I saw a vision, and see, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence, an extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. and its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars, and its ceiling was also flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne. Its appearance as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look upon it. And the great esteem sat upon it, and his garments shone more brightly than the sun, and were whiter than any snow. None of the messengers could enter and look upon his face because of the magnificence and esteem, and no flesh could look upon him. The flaming fire was around about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw near him. 10,000 times 10,000s before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most Kodeshim who were near to him did not leave by night, nor depart from him. And until then I had been prostrate on my face trembling. And Yahuwah called me with his own mouth and said to me, "Come here, Hanok, and hear my word." And one of the Kodeshim came to me and woke me, and he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downwards. And he answered and said to me, I heard his voice. "Fear not, Hanok, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach here and hear my voice. And go, say to the watchers of the Shamayim who have sent you to intercede for them, you shall not intercede for men, and not men for you. Why have you left the high Kodesh and eternal Shamayim, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as sons? And though you were Kodesh, spiritual, living, the eternal high, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have brought forth with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, and as those also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and bring forth children by them, that thus none might be lacking unto them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal high, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. For as for the spiritual ones of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim is their dwelling. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded forth from their bodies, because they are born from men. And from the Kodesh watchers is their beginning and primal origin, and shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offences. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the beings of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of the complete end, the great judgment, in which the age shall be ended, over the watchers and the wicked. Even so shall be completely ended. And now, as to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, who had been previously in the Shamayim, say to them, you have been in the Shamayim, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless matters, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. And they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wanted, they appeared as men. And they brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to the Shamayim. And I saw the places of the lights and the treasuries of the stars and of the thunder, and in the utmost depths where there were a fiery bow and arrows in their quiver and a fiery sword and all the lightnings. And they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west, which receives every going down of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water and discharges itself into the great sea towards the west. I saw the great rivers and came to the great river and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth, and the firmament of the Shamayim. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of the Shamayim, and have their station between the Shamayim and the earth. These are the pillars of the Shamayim. I saw the winds of the Shamayim which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their going down. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the messengers. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament and of the Shamayim above. And I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. And as for those towards the east, one was of coloured stone, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, and those towards the south of red stone. But the middle one reached to the Shamayim, like the throne of Elohim, to alabaster, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a flaming fire, and beyond these mountains is a region, the end of the great earth. There the Shamayim were completed. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of fire of the Shamayim, and among them I saw columns of fire 4 which were beyond measure, alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the Shamayim above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste, a horrible place. I saw there were 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the messenger said, this place is the end of the Shamayim and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of the Shamayim. And the stars which roll over the fire, and they which have transgressed the commandment of Yahuwah in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them, and bound them till the end, till the time when their guilt should be completely ended for 10,000 years.